Hello, my name is host Eric. I'm host Talking with Famous People, and we are talking today about the ENFJ personality type, and it's a type I have plenty of thoughts on and plan to do a little paper on coming up. But one way in which I can help to prepare myself for that is to talk about it now and talk about it with the simple group. And so I'm going to do a sort of an overview of the type first, and then we'll open the floor to comments and questions and other people's thoughts on the matter as well. So the function stack, as far as MBTI ordering goes, is FENISETI is the conscious stack. So that's again FENISETI, which means the shadow functions you've got in, again, with MBTI number in the fifth slot, you've got FI. In the sixth slot, you've got NE. In the seventh slot, you've got SI. And in the eighth slot, you've got uh, TE. So I know an ENFJ pretty well in Abraham. Abraham is my director, right hand man type person during the year, and he has a interesting set of functions, and it causes him to behave in interesting ways. So, first of all, he's extremely social, right? So you're talking about FE as the dominant function. That means he does not tolerate being alone well at all. It doesn't matter day or night what he's doing. He doesn't do well by himself, and there's very little time he's going to be spending doing tasks in isolation. That is going to be time that works well for him. He works well in groups and group projects, stuff like that. If you he needs a partner to help him get shit accomplished the way it needs to get accomplished. He doesn't do well with being like, okay, well, you need to make this thing on your own off to the side. Just like ENTP doesn't do well on that stuff either. I need ENTPs to do their best work when they're being watched, and ENFJs do their best work when they are being helpful actively to another person. So, um, what you are looking at then with the ENFJ is a person who has a world around them that they are noting other people's feelings. This causes Abraham notable difficulty in the sense that he has a very hard time tuning out like the sight of homeless people or anything sad. Um, it gets to him. The other thing I would say is he's extremely motivated by team stuff, and this is by far his best work when the team is in the throes of training and the intensity's up and stuff like that, because it's all for the benefit of the group. It's very group focused life view for the ENFJ. In his second slot, he's got NI, which means he's got good instincts about, well, what he's primarily doing, which is speech coaching stuff. So it's an acting kind of event, and he's trying to express certain things and evoke certain responses from people. That's all FE filtered through NI. So he just has instincts about what's right and what's wrong, and he's not, he does pick things up. He learns plenty of things, and then he determines that as one of the things that factors into his determining of truths. But ultimately, he goes with his gut on what works and what doesn't work in a given speech, and he can't exactly explain why. He's come out watching speeches before and saying, no, they did that part wrong. They need to do it like this. And he'll explain it, and I'll be like, it sounds like you're right, but how'd you know that? How'd you know that? And he's just like, I just knew it. See, that's sort of FE. That's like FE expertise at a level that's inconceivable to an ENTP, where he's literally engaging with the world around him entirely on a grounds of how everybody is feeling and how every little detail makes everybody else feel or not feel, and making note of that, remembering that and stuff. Um, it's a weird phenomenon. In his third slot, he's got SE, which makes him want to be a doer, a mover, a shaker type person as a aspirational thing, objectively, like explicitly. I mean, not implicitly, and he doesn't necessarily, though. The problem is his SI in the seventh slot. That means that he's got a terrible, terrible sense of himself in time. In fact, I'm having this issue right now. I'm going to have to deal with this soon. Basically, he got impatient over the course of the summer and thought that because we're not working yet or something, that we're not going to start working soon. And he went and picked up an extra job at Alhambra High School that may interfere with our shit. Like, he didn't trust in the fact that the school year's starting and we're going to have work here. He just felt like he wasn't doing any work. He has no sense of time frame, right? The idea that you have to wait another couple of weeks or so till the school starts is beyond him, because he's got SI in the seventh slot. He has no sense of himself as an identity moving through time that, would understand like a long-term thing like that. Like, look, Abraham, you're not thinking long-term here. You keep, every time there's a lull, you think that the plan's done, that there's no more any 5-year plan, that everything's shot to shit or whatever. But I've talked to you about this a million fucking times. Like, yeah, I know we're not working this summer, and that's partially because of you, but partially because of the partner we had in San Marino who's fucking us, and partly because, I wasn't supposed to be changing partners at the end of last year again anyway. A confluence of events have happened to cause us to not have a summer program, and, okay. I understand he's 18, get a summer job or something, fine. Don't get a job for the school year in August. It's insane, right? We're about to start, but he got impatient with the waiting thing. And so he got another job for the time when he will have a job, because he doesn't understand that, like, fundamentally doesn't understand that is real, even though it's in the future, So this is a fucking problem with that particular ENFJ. I think it's likely a problem for all ENFJs. It's a time frame issue. SI causes time frame issues, and for people who don't have it in a strong spot, and that's certainly the case for me. Mine aren't as bad as his. I'd rather have it in the fourth than in the seventh. But it denies those individuals a sense of their identity through time that's I'm not doing a summer school until school session starts. I am in California, but I was supposed to, but I didn't even want to. It was frustrating. The last few months have been a difficult time for the business, in the sense that I've gone through all these, I have to make all these fucking changes, but the year's rolling around, and Abraham just doesn't understand that. It's crazy. Anyhow, I'm probably not going to have a summer ever again. I don't plan to. I'm going to plan around not having summer from now on. And Anyway, that's my thoughts on this topic of ENFJ regarding their relationship to things in time. I might have more thoughts about it and their TE and stuff like that, but let me open it to other people's thoughts. Anybody here know an ENFJ? Have any thoughts about them, regardless if you know them or not, or anything else?
Yeah, my mom is an ENFJ. She's always talking to. I can't say that. She's not always talking to strangers. Like, whenever she passes by people, she's not afraid to like talk to them. Whereas I, on the other hand, am like, no, I'd rather like keep to myself. But she's like very social, and she she has good intuition. I think that whole like what you said earlier about Abraham, like saying something about what was it? The speech and how you could tell like some things were off, right? I think that's more like intuition,
Yeah, that's the NI.
intuition and mind, and not just extroverted feeling.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But
I agree.
but she does that too. She can like tell that some things are like off, or she'll um be able to tell like some things are gonna happen. But
Well,
and she picks up on people's feelings too.
she thinks what?
She picks up on people's like emotions and feelings quickly, and she like absorbs them. But she's not very good at like her own emotions, like
Yeah, I feel like they're
realizing
really
them.
hard to read. Like they can read you, I feel like really well. Like they look in your
They're
soul.
hard to read.
Like I have no idea what they're thinking.
I can read Abraham
I don't know. I
okay.
think
If
it's
he's if you hurt his feelings, it's easy to read.
Well, yeah,
yeah. Like generally, you know what they're. You can tell because they'll express it openly toward others. Like others will be able to
I mean,
see
I
like
think I
the
just like
expressions on
second
their
guess
face.
myself. I'm just like thinking it through and dissecting it too much. I don't know. I never take
Yeah.
people at face value. I try not to do that. I always there's some undercurrent.
Um, so I mean, I think one of the things about ENFJs is, well, one thing Abraham has told me before. He says things like he'll point out when a chick is suggesting that she might be available to me or something. Like Edmund's mom. Actually, he told me that about Edmund's mom, right? And I was like, "Are you sure?" But then when he explained it, see that one he could explain pretty well, and I was like, "Okay, those all make sense what you're saying." But and then also, what was the other one? Oh, right, the waitress at Denny's, the waitress that I'm a little bit in love with at Denny's, named Rosie. She's
Make a move yet?
I
Did you ask
haven't
her out?
I haven't. I'm so wimpy about stuff like
You
that.
gotta do that,
I
man.
have to really screw up my courage to do that. It's like I don't
It's like
know.
that anything we were talking about last night, man. There's no, not going to be a best time, you know. Like it's got to be daytime.
Yeah. See, I actually did sort of ask Edmund's mom out, and we did sort of go out. But um, but I don't think it's the right type of person for me. Basically, she's I need somebody kind of soft and squishy, you know. And the waitress at Denny's is pretty soft and squishy, both in physically soft and squishy, and she seems warm. You know, I need warmth. That's the thing. I need warmth. I'm not looking for another person who's intellectual necessarily at all. I'm looking for somebody to provide warmth. So that's why I would be more likely to want to ask out the waitress at Denny's. But see, what I keep thinking is this. I've been in there plenty. I am not the only old single guy who eats there. I was there the other morning at like 5 a.m. or something. It was nothing but guys like approximately my age, each sitting in their own booth by themselves eating breakfast, right? I think, Jesus Christ, how many guys must pick up on this waitress though? It must happen all the time. And
Not a
so,
stud like you, man.
well, but
That's
see,
what you gotta know.
I mean, but that's the problem there, Mister. Is I can't. I'm yet to be able to quite believe that lie. So I have to work on believing that lie before I can, it can act as though I believe it. Uh, the problem is, yeah, I don't know. I'm scared. That's the problem. I'm scared.
Just start with basics. Just throw some rocks at her or something. Let her know that you like her.
That's a good idea. I could throw some rocks at her. What are you doing? I'm throwing rocks at you. That's what they told me on the internet, to show you that I like you.
Like, sorry, last time I asked a girl out was when I was 6.
Alright. Sarah's got probably the simplest solution to the matter. And she indicates I ought to grow some balls. What do you like doing off hours, Rosie? What you like doing off hours? Off hours? I don't understand that term. It means when you're not at work. Oh, I go home to my boyfriend. He's got a 40-inch long cock. Rosie, I can't believe you said that to me. That's very offensive. She doesn't have a ring on, so maybe she doesn't. She doesn't think you're married. But I think waitresses would take off their ring anyway, probably, because it would catch on plates and stuff.
Oh, that's too. That's the overthinking it, man. They wouldn't do that. What's he gonna do? Like make it cling every now and then? Like what do you do?
I was thinking more from the perspective of tips, maybe. I don't know if she'd just get that nefarious about it.
Oh man, if my wife did that, I'd be so mad. I'd be furiosio.
Well, I mean, are you gonna? You think Taylor's gonna work as a waitress?
Well, I mean, you said she's out of work now, right? So.
I anticipated her being a stay-at-home mom.
Right. So I mean, if it stays like that, it's all good. That'd be great.
All right, fine. Well, then you don't have to panic. Your future's still intact. Okay. I see. I don't know. Would I be mad about that? If my wife said, "Listen, I want to take out my wedding ring at work so I can get bigger tips," would that bother me?
Did the tips give you a bigger TV?
Possibly. I don't think that would bother me. You know, I don't think that would bother me. I would say, okay, well, look, if somebody asks you if you're married or something, what are you going to say? And she says, well, I'll say I'm married. And they'll say, well, why don't you have a ring? And she'll say, well, I take it off because it catches on the plates and stuff. And I'd say, okay, that's fine. You should totally do that then. More money sounds like a good idea. I think that's how I would think about it, probably.
Yeah, not me. Not me at all.
Okay. What about, let's hear from a female in the room. Would you want to take off your ring in that circumstance to get more tips? If you were married and you were working as a waitress?
Why would I be working as a waitress if I were married?
Well, because your husband owns a business, it's a restaurant, and you are having to fill in for a waitress at the last minute. He asked you, please, honey, please.
One-time deal.
One-time deal. Now, he's also said, now, be aware, honey, that one of the options you have is to take off your ring to increase the amount of tips you'll get, and that I'm okay with it under the following circumstances unless all the things I just said.
Is he afraid that his wife is going to leave him? Because that would be the only concerning factor, right?
No, I mean, my concerning factor would just be a
Regardless
guy.
of what the other guys do, because the other guys are going to do whatever they do no matter what. Oh, never mind. I see.
Yeah.
What's the concern then? What did you see?
That guys would hit on her because she's single, and that would make the husband jealous,
Right.
and that would be uncomfortable for both of the people in that relationship.
But the husband's not going to witness this, and
That's true, but he knows that it's happening, and he's probably going to blow it out of proportion.
That's even worse. At least if you saw it and you were standing next to her, you could be like, "Hey, punk, back off." But if you're not even around there, like, that's not cool.
okay, but
But I think if he didn't have a problem to begin with, then it wouldn't be an issue.
it does depend on
Like, what were
age
those
somewhat,
circumstances that you
Sarah.
were talking about, Eric?
I'm saying, if you should take off your ring. Okay, you got a husband and a wife. The wife works as a waitress, and the waitress says, "Well, if I don't wear my wedding ring, I'll get more tips." And should the husband be like, "Well, good, cool, because like Mega Bro said, I'm gonna get a bigger TV out of this," or should the husband be like, "Fuck no," because now all the guys will hit on you, and she'd say like whatever she'd say.
Is the question
I
what
don't know.
the
I'd be
husband's
like, do
reaction
you
should
want more money or not?
One of you
Jason,
guys.
what'd you say?
I think either response is acceptable from the husband. I probably prefer him be jealous, to be truthful, but I suppose I wouldn't be mad if he wasn't.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
just
like at the same time,
go ahead.
I don't know. At the same time, I wouldn't pay him. But I can't say that because, like, I've never been in a relationship, so I don't know how I would actually feel in that situation.
Well, I mean, how often? See, I don't know. I don't really know what it's like being a female out in the world. Younger female. You're like 18 or 19 or something, right, Nandi? So, like, do you get hit on a lot? Do guys come up to you and say, "Hey, baby," and stuff like that, or what?
No. I try and discourage it as much as possible.
You
Not
discourage
actively,
it?
but I just don't want it to happen. I don't like being in those situations. I try and avoid them as much as possible. Because then everyone know what to say. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to date you. Oh, one guy asked me out one time, and it was really, really awkward. And I'm like, no. And I told him no, and then I ran away.
I thought.
I was like,
JC, any thoughts on how? Because I would argue that most men interact with most women in probably normal, just people to people ways, right? Or am I wrong about that? I mean, I've not been in a woman's shoes, you know.
I think in like the real world, like what I mean to say is not like a club or somewhere where it's socially appropriate to have like eating rituals.
Yeah.
They act in kind of regular conversational ways. They'll just kind of talk to you.
But in a club,
And then, like, at least that's been my experience, like, in the real world, they'll just kind of talk to you. And, like, you won't, like, or at least me, like, being as blue in butterfly, like, when I was younger, I didn't even know what was actually happening, like, that or, like, they were trying on me. I just thought it was, like, the person being interested. Like,
JC, I can barely. JC, hey, listen, I can barely hear you. Can you fix the audio or try again? Go back a sentence or two.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, a lot better.
I was saying, like, when I was younger, I didn't know when a guy was trying to hit on me.
Well, I'm terrible at that.
What did you think he was doing?
same.
Being amicable.
Just being cool?
Yeah.
I see.
You may have been practicing in a way, and I don't mean that in like a more of a rude sense, but just I guess it depends on how awkward the guy was. He may have just been looking.
It wasn't awkward. it wasn't awkward. Like we were just talking, like we were like it was just like normal meeting someone new. You know what I mean? So like I didn't see it in the context of like a romance or like being something more than just a friendship. I just thought it was, you know, someone talking to you, like being friends or whatever, because I was, I don't know, innocent.
Yeah, I can't tell definitively either. That's the problem is I want to know for sure, but you're not talking about something for sure, right? You're talking about something that's they're not any more for sure about anything than you are. They're just thinking, okay, well, maybe it's possible we could proceed to the next little step, right? But ideally, I'd like to know before asking her out whether or not she's going to be willing to marry me, so that I can know going in what the ceiling is, right? I want to know what the highest ceiling is, and so if I really like her, then I can get to the highest ceiling. And that if the highest ceiling is, well, she's going to break up with me after a couple months, then I probably don't even want to go waste the energy. But you don't get to know that shit ahead of time. That's the
Yeah, you
thing.
do. You can ask on the first date, man. You can ask questions that answer that question without asking the question.
Like what?
But they don't know yet about you. They don't know enough about you yet to know what
You
they
can just-
think about it.
In general, you know, like a
See,
general
I don't
question.
want a general answer. I want to know specific to my circumstances. Probe her. You want me to probe her, Sarah? Should I do more probing? Is that the problem? Inadequate probing? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I'll
you
keep
got
that
to
in
probe
mind.
a lot, and then if it's not worth it, just drop it because that's a waste of time. If it's like nothing.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. That's
Chicken.
great advice.
You gotta be tactful though. You can't just be like, "Oh, this is a nice Denny special." Anyways, do you like butt plugs? Like you gotta be more of a transition.
It,
Were you listening to my last date at Denny's? Were you there listening? Because it's a remarkable coincidence.
that's where IHOP. Be
to
like,
it.
hey, I know you're spending too much time at Denny's. I heard there's this good place called IHOP we can go to.
Hey, you're not talking shit about Denny's, are you?
Well, IHOP's way better. You get the refillable coffees, man. At Denny's, they have to keep on coming over and fill up your cup. I hate that.
That's because they care, and they're a beautiful waitress named Rosie who
Well,
I
I
want
guess
to look
that
at
is good
anyway.
for you in your situation. She doesn't
Yeah.
have to just leave a coffee cup and leave.
Yeah,
Listen to what else she does. She comes and unnecessarily cleans the table across from the table that I'm sitting at. That's what Abraham
dude.
says means that she wants me to talk to her or something.
if she's unnecessarily cleaning the table, then you need to mobilize.
I
You
should
need to
mobilize on that, huh? Okay, all right. Well, but see, if I feel too much pressure to mobilize, then I won't even want to go to Denny's anymore. I'll just be like, I gotta stay away from there. So I have to wait till it just sort of happens. That's the thing. It just happened. I have to.
All right. Well, hey, think about it this way. You're talking about all these single guys being in there at 5 a.m. like you are. Each day that you wait, the more and more several guys go in there and hit on her and possibly ask her out, and her possibly saying okay.
Well, thanks for putting the ticking clock on this whole thing here, not host Mark.
You need to try to play the cleaning angle and turn it into foreplay, like just spill just a little bit of coffee and be like, oh, there's a spot there. And
There's a
see if
spot
she.
right there. There's a spot over there too.
There's subtleties you got to try to pick up on.
I thought you were suggesting that I should go clean something unnecessarily across from her.
No. You spill something and see how quickly she.
Yeah,
Just run
Sarah
out.
says I should spill it on my pants. You have to work up. You have to work there.
Oh.
You start at the table at the far away from you. There's a spot of coffee way over there. You have a little trail all the way over.
How do you guys? Oh,
What?
not how smart.
What?
Oh. Okay. What are we talking about this episode?
Oh.
I totally forgot. I have no idea.
ENFJs?
Oh yeah, ENFJs.
Oh. wait. Is the waitress okay?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure she's an SF. I think she's an SF of some kind. What's that?
Maybe you
Wait.
should talk about staying on topic.
Well,
I
it
feel like
was.
he has videos on that already.
I
Exactly.
You feel like what?
I said I think you have videos on that already.
Yeah, I do have videos on staying on topic. But the thing is, I can stay on
They
topic
got
when
off
I'm making a
topic, too.
solo video a lot better.
Yeah, that's
Bec-
true.
Yeah, but the reason I got off topic here is because
Kinda.
Abraham's the one who told me that she was cleaning the table unnecessarily.
Oh, okay. This is kind of related, indirectly.
Yeah,
I mean, ENFJs are like servers,
And
like they
ENFJ
serve.
told me something.
They're very giving people, selfless people.
they are. They are very selfless.
Oh yeah.
They want to engage with people about meaningful stuff all the time. They want to have big shit going on. They also care a lot about titles and status, and they'd like to be seen driving around in a fancy car and wearing a fancy suit and stuff like that.
That to some degree is true.
So that's good. Brings us back to the deck of the Enterprise as we conclude our topic on ENFJs with a sidetrack into Eric being scared to ask out the waitress at Denny's. Okay.
Well, we could time together. We could
What?
say, how would an ENFJ solve this problem of trying to pick up a waitress at Denny's?
He would try to get I don't think ENFJs are players particularly. I think that they are too emotional to be players, and they get close to somebody.
I don't
And
think so.
You don't think so? I could be
I
wrong.
think some of them are.
Some of them are. Are you sure they aren't
I said
ESFJs?
some of them could be. Huh?
I think ESFJ males would be more likely to be players.
I agree
I
with
think
that.
both can be.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
any type
yeah,
could be
I
players.
think ENFJ males can be players, but they probably have to put a bit more effort into it to fight that feeling you were talking about.
They're super empathetic, right? So I think they're a type that's gonna fall in love easily.
How would an ENFJ like to be asked out or approached?
An ENFJ
Like a female?
Yeah.
Directly, maybe?
she probably it probably wouldn't play out that way. She'd be the one who has designs on the person, and she's the one who would make it happen by. You'd think you'd asked her out, but she did something to make it happen. Or if you were really being stubborn about it, it'd be like that kind of a thing. I think that's how it would play out from the angle of the ENFJ girl.
I don't follow that.
Well, I think that what would happen, first of all, if you were in an ENFJ female's sights, that the ENFJ female would know you already in some way, or have come into contact with you and started to know you. In the process of starting to know you, the ENFJ would probably connect to you via social media and stuff like that, to the extent that you let her, and then utilize like your connections and other things like that, and do something like that to get you to ask her out. To get the
Okay.
suggestion into your head from some third party or something like that,
Yeah. This has been happening, and I feel like that's happening, but I have no idea. Which is the part where I was talking about. I have no idea how to read that. I'm just terrible at that.
If you're getting information from a third party indicating that a party wants you to ask her out, then you need to ask her out for sure. because that means that's as confirmed as you can get. That's as most confirmed you can get, because then you don't have to rely on your own instincts about it at all. That's the problem. We don't have good instincts about that shit. So, if some chick comes up and says Mary wants you to ask her out, if I can ask her out. If she says something equivalent to that, ask her out.
All right.
That's
Good
my
deal.
take on that. Yeah. Okay, so any other thoughts on the ENFJ personality type before we end this video? Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Thank you at home for watching. These videos will be going up. I might stagger them a bit instead of putting them all up at once. And I will talk to you all later. And those of you who are in the room, thanks for being here. Talk to you later as well.